Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. Today I'm reviewing Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I know everyone has reviewed this already, everyone has read it already, I'm really late to it, shh. So for anyone who hasn't read this book, Ready Player One is basically a love story to 80s pop culture, and it is about this big game creator who, when he dies, he leaves his inheritance as an Easter egg in his biggest game, which is the Oasis, and it is this big kind of virtual reality world where the majority of people spend far too much of their life in, and as a result the world itself has begun falling into disrepair, and generally people are just really obsessed with this virtual reality world. And the whole book revolves around this one character called Wade, who is just trying to find that inheritance because he lives in this really crappy situation and he has no hope of bettering himself aside from actually winning this inheritance. So the whole book is about him essentially. First off, I just want to say I actually really loved this book. I gave it 4 stars, and I'll tell you why I didn't give it 5 in a minute, but I just really enjoyed reading it. It's just one of those books that I got completely into it. I read it in like a day and it was just a really enjoyable read. I will say I didn't get a lot of the pop references. I was born in the very late 80s, so I don't remember them firsthand or anything. A lot of the film stuff I got because I've watched them since. Generally the retro kind of gaming stuff I didn't get, but that didn't in any way diminish my enjoyment of the book whatsoever. I still really enjoyed it. I think maybe if you read it and you did know all that stuff, you probably, you'd get all nostalgic and all that jazz. But for me, I didn't get that, obviously. I think maybe I'd like to reread it after I've sort of learnt more about those references and stuff, just to see whether I got more out of it. But I didn't feel personally like I'd actually missed anything from not knowing those references. But generally a lot of the reason why I actually just really enjoyed reading this book was the writing style. It really throws you into the world of this virtual reality, and you really get the difference between the real world in the book and this virtual reality world. And I don't know what it was about the way it was written, but it really really worked in conjuring up that kind of Second Life sort of idea of a virtual reality kind of thing. So I really enjoyed it from that point of view. I could really imagine it all really clearly, and it's very visual, and I'm pretty sure they've already kind of picked up the rights to make a film of this. If they haven't, then they will be very soon, because A, it's very popular, and B, it just suits a film, I think. It's very quirky and very fun, and even though there are moments in it that are quite dark, particularly with reference to the real world, it was just a really light-hearted, enjoyable book, and I really got into it. There were a few little things that were the reason why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. First off, there is a whole love story in this book which I initially was kind of not really that fussed about. I didn't mind it, but as the book progressed I felt like the love story just got in the way and it didn't really develop that much, and it felt very like the lead character was sort of stalking her in a way. It was a little bit creepy, so that definitely diminished my enjoyment. And in reference to that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending definitely felt very flat. It was almost like Ernest kind of come up with this great idea for this book and then he didn't know how to finish it, so it just felt a bit at the end. Small little nitpick thing, the whole book is basically meant to be a love story to the 80s, as I've said, and it's because this game creator who leaves his inheritance was absolutely obsessed with the 80s, and as a result there are loads and loads of references to it. However, a lot of the references, well, not a lot, but there are a number of references in this which aren't from the 80s, and it's a tiny thing, I know, but it was just a bit like, I don't know, it felt a bit strange because clearly Cline had gone back and researched a lot of particularly the gaming side of this book in terms of the references he made, but there were some references which were just a bit, they were just wrong, they weren't from the 80s. So things like, he talks about how Tarantino is one of this game creator's favourite movies because it's 80s or whatever, and Tarantino made his first big film was Reservoir Dogs, and that came out in the early 90s. And he'd only made 2 films previous to that. The majority of his films are post-80s, so that was a bit random. And then, what was the other 2? There was Tolkien, he mentions that, which of course is pre with the books and post with the films, so that didn't really fit. And the third one was Monty Python. He goes on and on about Monty Python in this book, and yet that was pretty much all 80s. At least I don't know whether perhaps in America Monty Python was bigger in the 80s. Here it started in the 70s, I think, if not 60s. 70s, I think early 70s it started, but it was massive before the 80s. I think only like Holy Grail or something came out during the 80s, or maybe it was Life of Brian. Can't remember. I can't remember, I wasn't alive, but yeah, I can't remember the facts. But yeah, I know they're tiny little nitpicking things, but just annoyed me. But anyway, overall, in spite of the ending, and in spite of those stupid little nitpicking and the whole love story thing, I did actually really enjoy this book, and I would really recommend it. Honestly, even if you're not big into gaming, I'm not like a massive gamer. I play Sims. Sims is my big game. And I grew up playing, you know, Medal of Honor and stuff like that. Nothing major, and yet I really love this book. So just if you enjoy dystopias, then read this book, because it's so well written and it's just really enjoyable. So that's it for today. I will be back tomorrow with my bookshelf tour video, but until then, I hope you have a good day, and bye!